At some point in the digital age of boss babes, new money, and ambitious rookies, we stopped consulting our village's wisest. Women have been the heartbeat of the world within their respective communities, workforces, and families since the dawn of time. They are the magic makers, the peacemakers, and the ass kickers. Let's celebrate them with the Matriarchy Party. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Matriarchy Party. Today, I have another little juicy treat for you. Holy Hannah, a true bestie, Tiffany Smith, an American actor and host, most recently in Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3 as OrgoCorp host Frinicky. That's a tongue twister for me. She was the voice of Andra and He-Man, Master of the Universe. Have you ever had your friend have a action figure? Hello, it's very ASMR here. I'm like, wow, epic. Are you kidding? Masters of the Universe Revelation on Netflix. Meghan Markle in the film Harry and Meghan Becoming Royal, among so many other roles. Supernatural, Jane the Virgin, so many more. She's done podcast and voice work, such as Hot Girl in the Lego DC Super Villains video game. I'm just so excited. There's so much work here. She's so amazingly talented at so many things, including, she's a lover of Magic the Gathering. You're a superstar at that. Loves a dance party. Her positive spirit is so contagious. I love you so much. Really shout out to Nick McNaught for introducing us the fateful evening at the Shazam 1 after party in 2019. Welcome, Tiffany Smith, to the podcast.
Yay. Was that 2019?
Yeah.
Really? I feel like it was so much longer ago than that.
It feels like we've known each other for 20 years and also 5 minutes.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it was spring 2019.
Wow.
I probably have the exact day, like April 1st or April 5th, or I don't know.
It's so crazy because we have a video of the bed jumping dance party that we had.
Yeah.
I feel like it feels so long ago, I think, because of the pandemic and that time. It's just because when did that officially start? 2019, right? 2020.
2020.
Okay. So it was a little bit before that. So we were still out in the world.
Yeah. Well, and we saw each other at the 4th of Levi.
Huh?
So we saw each other a few times, in a 6-month span. And then all of a sudden it was lockdown city and then only on Zoom.
Yep. Which here we are again, back on Zoom.
And here we are. Look at Tiffany's in LA. I'm in Phoenix. And look at us on the Zoom. I'm so excited to talk to you officially. I feel like we're talking every day. Shout out to that group chat. Chat.
Yep. I am a second one in the group chat with Courtney McNulty.
Yes. There's mysterious other guests in the group chat, but yeah. 2 Courtneys, a Tiffany, etc. I'm so honored. I know you're very booked and busy to spend some time with me today.
And I'm so happy that you asked. I was do I have stuff to say? I don't know. Let's see.
Of course you do. Oh my goodness. Well, who are we talking about today? Who's your matriarch?
My matriarch is my mom. I know that it's a not crazy one out of the box kind of thing, but yeah, she's definitely been the matriarch in my life that I've looked to the most for matriarchal wisdom.
I love your mom. Well, tell the fans your mom's name.
Yeah, my mom, Tanya, is amazing, and Courtney has met her once.
It's got to be more than once, but
really,
honestly, you know what? It's so memorable meeting your parents because I remember walking into your house and was overwhelmed with the homey family love bubble that surrounds your parents' house. I honestly was in slow motion, be present in this moment because it's very rare that you walk in people's house and you feel just good energy. And I just mean in a way of it was so overwhelmingly lovely and loving, and they were so sweet and welcoming and warm to me. But I was so much love in this house. I always take note of that. And so I was your parents are just sweet to each other, sweet to you, sweet to me. It was so nice. I got to come back again, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. I think that probably is one of the biggest things that constantly just makes me think and know how much work my mom puts into things where it's I've always wanted my space to be that way. Because I know she puts so much effort into making our home feel like a place that is safe and comfortable and comforting and full of love and joy. And it's just like, I just came back from the holidays with my family. And every time I go back, it's like, you're excited to go home to see your parents. Also, you're like, oh, I'm going home to see my parents. And then it's like, you don't want to leave. Like after you're there for a bit, it's just like, oh, it's so nice just to be surrounded in love and get time with them.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure just like recharge in a way that only a mom can make you feel like as like safe and just at home. And I think especially around the holidays, you realize that like this, like that warm feeling and that safeness and the like loving environment is not by chance. It's like so much work that moms
and I think
and grandmas and aunts
also realizing like it's not just, it's because I think a lot of times like growing up, you think it's the stuff in the house or like the decorations that are up or all the cooking that's happening. And yeah, that's a part of it. But like, it's so much more just about the energy that my mom puts into the space. Cause I think about, there have been years where like her needed a disc in her back. So we didn't do as many house decorations for the holidays, or like this year it was just crazy and busy. So we didn't put up the tree, but we did other decorations. And I think sometimes it feels like those are the things that make it feel cozy and warm, but it's not, it's the people and the energy. And that's something like, as I've gotten older, I've seen, cause it was definitely times where my parents would be like, we're not going to put up the tree this year. And like bratty Tiffany would have been like, no, we put the tree up.
We need it.
Now it's like, yeah. And now it's like, no, it's okay. Like we don't need the things. Like it is just being around each other and getting to spend that time together.
Yeah. Well, man, it's so true. That was such a sweet way to start this thing off. So lovely. You're so right. Well, I always start this whole thing the same way with the same question. And that's saying when we think of a matriarch, we think of a woman who's the head of their family, tribe, or organization. When in your own personal life, did you feel like you had to demonstrate those traits either way, by necessity or not?
So I knew I was coming on the podcast and I was like, wow, I don't think I've ever like consciously thought about being a matriarch, in any way. And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, well, what are some of the things that I do in my life? I think the biggest thing for me is like, I love being a connector and like making a space where people feel safe and comfortable and able to share whatever's going on. And I think that's something that I definitely learned from my mom. But when it comes to my group of friends, like I love connecting people. That's one of my favorite things where it's like, oh, you don't know this person? Let me connect you with this person. Let me connect you with this person.
You're
This
so
person
good at it.
So I think that's probably like the most matriarchal thing that I have.
Because I feel like you have a lot of friends groups. Sorry to cut you off, but you have like a lot of like organizations and groups and like clubs and people that you see very frequently. Like I feel like you are very much the glue and like the connector.
Yeah, I definitely think that is a part of it where it's like that connecting different groups and making sure that like I am consistently tapping in and connecting and making sure that like if I haven't talked to you in a bit, I connect with you or I'll call you or I'll text you or I'll show up with something. So I think that's probably the most matriarchal thing that I think.
I know. Well, I mean, those of us who don't have human children have a fur baby. Shout out to Loki, who's in his crate, very upset right now because his holiday presents were too loud and to be squeaking. But I think it is hard because like, I know for me, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not a matriarch. Like I don't have lineage, but I'm like, I feel like it means it's so much more than that. I mean, and that's why we started this podcast, because I think so many people like the idea, like the traditional, like gender norms or like what a family looks like has evolved in such a way that whether it's like your personal life and your family and your relationships, that's great. But then it can also exist in like in your work community and with your colleagues and with your friendships and with a club that you're in. I mean, I think that there's just many ways to like, you're herding cats, you're wrangling, you're the glue, you're making sure everything is at the right level of excellence. I feel like there's a lot of ways that you're a matriarch, but I know that it's like, feels like kind of weird and you're like, uncomfortable. Not me. I don't know. I'm not, but you do things so seamlessly.
It's like in my mind, sometimes I get crossover of like, what's a matriarch and what's a mentor.
Sure.
Kind of. So I definitely think if you were to ask me, like, how are you a mentor for people? Like, I feel like that's an easier.
How are you a mentor for people?
I mean, but I think it's because, like you said, I don't think of myself as a matriarch because I don't have human children. But like mentoring where it's like, I definitely think in career stuff, like I'm very, very active. And like, if I see someone trying to do something similar to me, I will always put myself out there and available for questions or call somebody or let them know like, hey, you can reach out to me for anything that you need, or whether it's financial stuff where it's like, this is how much I make doing this thing. Like, if you're trying to do it, you should ask for this. Because I think like, especially in the entertainment industry, there's not a lot of easy kind of, you take this step and then you take this step and then you take this step, and finding mentors can be a little bit hard. So for myself, I've kind of been like, anybody who I'm around, whether they've decided they're a mentor for me or not, they're a mentor for me because I'm like watching, like picking things to keep for myself and things that I think are amazing. And so I try and do that consciously for the people around me too, where it's like, if I can be a mentor or offer anything that I've learned, like I'm always ready and willing to do that. Cause I think it's, you know, it's awesome when you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, and more people should. I feel like the ability to learn from everybody you come in contact with, like good or bad, and especially people that you admire and respect, that you're just like, whether or not you've taken this active role as my mentor, you will be my mentor. And I am soaking up as much as I can in every interaction. But I feel like being able to pass that on, even when you're like, we all have imposter syndrome and we're all like, we're just like little kids. We're not in charge. We don't know all the things, but like to be able to say like, oh, you've never done this before? Like, let me help you. Or, oh, I'm really good at that thing. Like, can I help? Just, you know, helping if you have the bandwidth and you have the experience, and to be able to pass that on is so special and important. But I mean, you're so young and you've had so much success, and only more greatness coming in 2024. I love it.
Yeah.
How do you think, what does success mean to you, and how has it evolved throughout the years?
For me, I think success is getting to do things that I feel passionate about and love, and getting to, like, I say make a living, but it's actually just like being able to live life doing that thing. That is success to me, where it's, you know, I love acting, I love hosting, I love working in the entertainment industry. But I think the level of success is getting to do those things, but still enjoy your life, whether it's like getting to go on vacation or getting to spend time with your family. So having that balance of doing the thing that you love work-wise and having the life balance, that is true success for me. And I think every day I'm trying to strive more and more towards that, because it's constantly like an ebb and flow, where it's like, sometimes this is the major priority and sometimes this other one is. And it's like, oh wait, I need to balance them out a little bit more. And then also like making sure that I'm taking care of myself in the midst of all of that. So I don't have like a benchmark. I think that's the thing that's probably changed over the years for me, is that when I was younger, it was like, I want to do this thing. And not that I don't have a list of like, I want to book this role, or I want to do this type of a film. But I think as I've gotten older, it's gotten to a place where I'm like, this or something better. That I'm just so much more open, and in every moment, I'm like, I know that I'm supposed to be doing this thing. What are the wonderful lessons and things that I can learn out of this moment? Because I think that just makes it that much better. Yeah. Otherwise, you're so focused on like, I need to reach this thing. And for me, I feel like a lot of times that just leads to some kind of disappointment if it's not exactly what you were asking for. So I think that's where my success journey has grown to, where it's like, it doesn't need to be so specific all the time. And I need to be flexible to be able to be open to the awesome stuff that does show up, and being able to say like, oh, I may have written down like, even so, one of our mutual friends for my birthday every year, she'll read my tarot cards, and then she'll write down things that I'm like, this is what I want to have happen this year. And we sat down this past year for my birthday, and it was after the strike and after the pandemic. And she was like, should we even read your letter?
Oh, womp, womp.
Yeah. And I was like, no, we should. And then it was like, as we were reading it, there were so many things that it wasn't exactly what I'd asked for, but it was like you know, I was like, I want to get a bunch of offers for films and stuff. And it was like, I did have, like, during all of this craziness, I still did have offers for projects, which was awesome. So I think having that like flexibility to be able to see success, even if it's not
exactly what you yes,
is super important.
That's such good advice, because I think like, I mean, it's easy to say, just be open to the universe, but like actually like acting on that, and it's a whole different thing. I think for me, I mean, I even think about like vision boards and we make them and now I have it on my phone screen background. And like this year, my goal was to be on a podcast. And I was like, I haven't, but I started my own. So here we are. But I think there's so many instances that happens that you're like, oh, I was looking at this. And that happens a lot with my vision board. This picture was representing this thing, but actually our powers are too strong and it manifested a whole other thing from that picture that I wasn't looking at. But yeah, if you're not open, you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was an option. Wasn't even like, that wasn't the number one goal summit that I was trying to hit because I didn't even think there was something better. So this or something better. Yeah. So wisdom for everyone. Well, I mean, it sounds like, I think that we both live by the ask for what you want mantra, but describe a time where asking for what you want paid off.
So I think like the biggest one that happened for me was when I moved back out to California. So I went to school for broadcast journalism and knew I wanted to work for G4. And at the time I was working the car shows. And so I was traveling all over the country. Every time I came back to LA, which is where I'm originally from, Santa Monica. But every time I came back out here, I was like, I want to meet with the talent coordinators from G4. And every time I met with them, they were like, you're great, but you have to live out here. We don't have a permanent job, so we can't do like a one-off kind of thing. But if you're out here, we'll see. So I literally, I'm like, always think of this as my like Indiana Jones walking across the invisible bridge moment where I moved back out to California and my parents and my sister at that time were living on the East Coast. And I was just like, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. So I moved out here. And as soon as I got out here, they were like, okay, so we're going to have you hop on Attack of the Show and do the feed. And then it was like on my first birthday after I'd moved back out here, I was co-hosting Attack of the Show. So I think that was like the biggest moment for me. Yeah. Of saying like, this is the thing I want. I'm going to take the steps to get myself there as close as I can. And then hope that, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, meets me in that moment. So that was one of those things. And then I think it's like the further along in my career I've gotten, it's the like realizing what your worth is and actually asking for more sometimes, where it's like, sometimes you'll get an offer for X amount of money. And it's like, hey, so I know that's what you're offering, but can we ask for a little bit more? And that's something that I'm very thankful for, the agents and managers that I have on my team that have been encouraging in that way, that it's given me more confidence to say, oh no, I know I could actually get this much. And a lot of times the answer is yes, there is a little bit more, which is great.
Love it.
So yeah.
That's amazing. Such a good example. So, yeah. Making that terrifying, like walk on the tightrope without a net, and then the universe provides the net. And maybe
which like has been, I think over the last 2 years, maybe like
it's been a lot of tightropes.
I was like watching your journey, like watching how, so nice. Stepped out and started your own business and doing the podcast and everything. It's so cool seeing, it's like one thing when you're doing it yourself, but it's also so awesome when you see the talented, incredible people around you doing it too, and like trusting themselves and stepping out. So that's been really cool for me.
Sweet. It is so true. It's like, it's so easy to see those things in your girlfriends that you love and admire. And you're like, she's doing the thing. Isn't that amazing? And then it's fun to look at and be like, we're all doing the thing or our things. Like, isn't that cool? And it's not always like, this sounds like, and you know what? We want to live in a place of abundance and favors us and shines down all the time. But this is not to say that we both haven't totally eaten shit many times. Okay. I want to just preface that we've done all of we've done a lot of hard work. It's still hard. It's not sunshine and butterflies and perfect big fat tracks every single day. But it makes it all that much greater when that does happen. And we're trying to live in a place where we're like, yes, more, please. Thank you. But just to say, like, I never want to be like that. Everything's so great. I've never had to struggle for anything. It's amazing being handed what I want. But sometimes
and I think that's what I think is so special about having people around you, where it's like having my mom around me, where I can like, she's been through every step of the whole process. My parents, both of them, and my sister. And then like you guys over the last few years, where it's like having those moments to say like, hey, I actually need to talk about like the not so nice stuff right now. I just need to vent it out, like support in that way. And I think that's something that is so special and necessary that a lot of people don't have anymore, where it's just like, oh, we're only supposed to share the positive stuff. And I'm like, no, it's so like, I don't have like a Debbie Downer every day, all day kind of thing, but it's like, you need to be able to get that stuff out move on. And sometimes have your friends or your family or whatever matriarch it is in your life be there to tell you like, hey, it's going to get better, or hey, yeah, that does really suck. I feel like that's one of the coolest things like with my mom is that as my sister and I both have gotten older, it's like we have this when we're talking to her sometimes, it's like, okay, is my mom hat on or is my friend hat on?
Yeah.
Because it's like there is a difference when you're talking to your parents or your mom or whoever it is about certain things. I think that's something when it's a matriarch that may be older than you, it's like, are you talking to them as a friend? Or are you talking to them as that matriarch?
Your wise elder. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanford and I even do that. It's like, okay, do I have my husband hat on? Do I have my just like neutral party hat on? Is it a friend or?
Yeah.
But it's important.
Am I problem solver?
Yeah. Am I problem solving or you just want to vent? That is number one advice I can give to anybody out there. Sometimes people just want to complain and just let them have it. They don't need it to be fixed. Okay. Let's talk about your mom.
Yeah.
Okay. So when, let's do it. Growing up, did she work inside the home, outside of the home, or both?
Both. So my mom was a teacher.
What grades?
But like she was with us most of the time. And I think the coolest, well, this is where it's like, I knew my mom was a teacher at a very young age and I understood what it was because I don't know, I must have been in like, I don't know, like first or second grade. And I would go to school and I would like decide that I didn't want to pay attention in school. So I'd go be playing or something and they'd be like, you need to pay attention. I'd be like, my mom can just teach me when I get home.
Classic.
So I understood at a very young age what my mom did and what she was, one of the things she's really wonderful at is teaching.
Wow.
So I always remember that story where it's just like, I was like, well, I'm not going to learn. I'll learn it. Just
maybe not right this second. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But we definitely like went on field trips with my mom's classes and stuff. And
what grade was she?
What
grade did she teach?
So she taught at a Montessori school. So it was like kind of like, younger mix of ages, mix of grades and stuff.
Got it.
But she like, I mean, it's one of the coolest things. Cause now it's like, I was out during the strike and someone came up to me, this random guy, and he was like, hey, are you Tiffany? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I think your mom taught my wife. And I was like, what? Oh. So literally look on each other's Instagrams and it's like someone that my mom taught like 20 years ago that they're still in communication. And like, we did connect and sent a picture to my mom and she sent it to the girl.
Oh my
And so it was just like, one of the things that like always sticks out to me with my mom is that anybody that she comes into contact with, it's like, she then becomes their mom figure. Aww. She then becomes like a sister. She's just so good at that. And like listening
making an impression.
Yeah. And making a really big impression. So,
yeah. And that's a lot of energy to be like such a resource and mentor and like confidant and like just the 30 kids that she was dealing with at a certain time. But now like all of the alumni of the Montessori school, that's like to always be available. That's so special.
It is. It's one of those things I think a lot of people don't think about when they see an incredible teacher, that she never just like left school and didn't think about the kids. It was always like still going on and thinking about them and how they could help, how she could help. And I think that's probably why it's one of the things where it's like, she didn't do it the whole time we were growing up because, you know, it is a lot of energy and it is a lot of work. And I think it's something that just comes really naturally to my mom. Cause it was like, whether she was teaching or she was working an after school program, it was like, there's always someone that became like my mom's kind of like new, like work daughter.
Like, I get it. Welcome to the family.
Yeah. So I think it's one of the things that is so awesome about my mom, and also a learning thing where it is to see that, yes, she's naturally good at that, but it is, like you said, it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of work from you as a person. So it's like, I think even for me, where sometimes I am an extroverted introvert, where it's like, I realize that like, I love giving my energy to the people around me, but I still need the time to like come back, recharge. And especially I think over the last couple of years, I realized more and more, I'm like, oh, I really do like being by myself.
Yeah. I feel the same way too. That's so funny. You need to recharge in that way.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that seeing her as a teacher or just the way, did that make you want to follow in those footsteps or do something totally opposite of like not, I want to say like more of a traditional career or?
Yeah. So what I think I was really lucky to grow up in a family where it was like, you can do whatever you want. What is it that you want to do? And for both my parents, they were the first ones in their families to go to college. So that was always a huge thing in our family. That was education is super important.
Yeah.
So I think my mom, like one of the first memories I have, and I've shared this one before, but it was like Halloween, and my mom she is so creative, but it was like, she went to school as a teacher dressed as Wonder Woman. And I like have a photo of her in this memory of my mom where it's like, my dad was introducing me to comic books, but then my mom is like dressing up as Wonder Woman.
Gosh.
So yeah,
gotta see the
one
picture.
of those things where I'm like, I have that memory, where it's like, she was doing the thing, but still being a superhero. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I totally lost where I was going with that.
No, but then also, I mean, Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So that definitely impacted me. But the other part that like now I know I see all the time is she and her best friend, Mercy, we would go and do like historical trips with her kids and my sister and I. And, we did like when we moved to the East Coast, it was like, we did like all of the Civil War historical things, and we would read everything and go to all these museums and stuff. And so it's always been whether I was in school or out of school. Like I said, I was learning things. So now it's like I go to the museum and I have to read everything. And it's not because like I'm forced to, it's because I actually want to, because I want to learn about whatever I'm looking at or whatever I'm seeing. And
You're
so that's
definitely like
something that.
Oh, a constant learner in that way. Like I feel like even outside of museums, I feel like you like find a hobby, you're learning all the things about the hobby, the origin story. You have a new project, you're doing like you're such a researcher. So it totally makes sense. Yep. I love that. What do you? Oh, what? Go ahead.
But I think the other great thing is that she always made it fun. Like it was still, you're learning things, but in a fun way where we're getting to travel around the country. And I just one of those little like silly Instagram things where it's like, what are all the states that you've been to? And which ones have you lived in? And I was like, I've been to so many different states, and definitely a huge piece of that is because my mom was like, we're going to go here and we're going to visit this place. And it was like, when my sister was looking at colleges, I would go, and it was like, we would visit and see all kinds of things when we were in whatever state we were in. So I think that's been something that, has always stayed with me, even now, where it's like, I want to travel, but I want to learn stuff, and I want to be experiencing new things and trying new things when I'm there.
That's so cool. I feel like, I mean, especially to see so much of the United States.
Yeah.
It's so magical.
Yeah. I definitely feel lucky because I know there's a lot of, and we traveled outside of the country too, but I think it is something that's super rare for some reason that like a lot of people don't do and see a bunch of the different states because it's like, oh, it's all the United States. And it's like, no, every state is very different. Like there's a lot in this country.
Everybody wants to go to Italy for the summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
But sometimes you just have to like go to, Pennsylvania, Gettysburg.
See those four corners.
Yeah.
See the Grand Canyon, No, there's so much of the U.S. I still want to explore. I love that. And that you could go with your mom's best friend too and her kids. So it must have felt like even more fun.
Yeah. And I think that's something too, where it's like, even getting to see my mom with her friends.
Yeah.
Something that I think has stuck with me because, we grew up out here. My mom and dad are both from Southern California and then moved a lot when I was younger. But it was like my mom still kept in touch with her friends out here and is still very close with them. And now that they're back out here, it's like they get to spend more time together, which is awesome. And so I think that's something for me that I learned where it was like, okay, I can move other places and make other friends, but it doesn't, even if we're across the country, I can still keep those relationships up and still keep them relationships. Whenever I come back, we can still pick up right where we left off.
That's where I thought you were going with that originally was your mom and her friend, like prioritizing friendships. Cause I feel like you're so good at the like watering those plants and you're like, you take care of all of your people. And even like you have a million friends, but like never cease to make all the friends feel loved and seen and supported. So I feel like you're really good at that too. So must be from your mom. Of course. What do you think the defining moments of your mom's career and life have been so far? Or her biggest dream and goal?
I think probably like like her and my dad meeting were probably a really big one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
How old were they when they met?
and my sister and um, they were in their 20s. So they're really young. And I mean, because it's like watching my parents' life, where it's like my mom stopped working and was traveling with my dad when he would get a new job places. And that's something that, I look at my life now and I'm like, could I do that? And I'm like, I don't think I could, because I have put so much on my career and as part of my identity. And I think a big thing for my mom has always been the family. Like, we are a family. We're going to make this work. And so that to me is like, it's been, I can't imagine how much actually went into it, because she made it look so easy for my sister and I. But thinking about it, if I went and did those things now, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, even just moving apartments, I'm like, it's so much work. Moving across the country with 2 kids and a dog and cats and, making new friends and finding new work and all that stuff, where it's like, it's a lot. And again, I think it's when someone just makes that look easy, because it's, she wanted to make sure that my sister and I were easily transitioning to wherever we were too. Which is really like such a huge blessing, and I know now I'm like, so much effort from her.
And
so
sacrifice.
Family. Yeah. And I think like the awesome thing now too is like being an adult with my mom. Mm-hmm. It's like we get to talk about so much more stuff now, where it's, I'm on a journey and growing and changing, but getting to see that like my mom still is too. Like, she's not done.
And she's never done this. She's never been really, this age. Really awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's like knowing that she's still going to have those milestones, like where it's like, what's the next milestone for your life? What's the next milestone? And I that's super encouraging and awesome for me, where it's like my like mom's, I think she'd be like my mom's great aunt, my like great aunt. Mm-hmm. She like watching her, she's like, she goes through a bingo club, and then she's like taking a language class, and she walks everywhere, and she's going to wine parties with her friends, and she's so like 90. And
that's like, amazing.
Yeah.
She's still evolving. Yeah. She's still growing.
And still finding new things, where it's like, that's something to me that I think is so awesome, that you can have certain things that are a part of you for your whole life, but you're always going to be changing, growing, and learning new ways to enjoy different things that maybe you didn't enjoy at a different point.
Stay curious.
One of my, like one of my favorite memories with my mom, and also this was Mercy, your best friend too, was that we would go to Disneyland together all the time. So it was like, they would see because back in the day, they used to have like hotel sales that would go along with like certain times at Disneyland. So it was like, we would all go to Disneyland together, and like, they're just, my best memories are getting to go and have those Disney days together and just have fun and be silly and light. And so now it's like, there is that part of me that always loves going to Disney. I mean, we've gotten to go to Disney a couple of times. Yeah. And it's like, that's something that is so special that I think my mom taught me, where it's like, it's so important to do the educational, the like, take care of your house, get all that stuff together, do the work stuff. But then also you need to have like the fun time too, just to recharge and reconnect. So that's definitely something.
Can your mom get some advice on how to do all the things? Wow. I'm like, how did you pack in all of that? That's amazing. And still doing it.
Yeah.
What do you think was like before she met your dad in her 20s? Like, what was she going to school for? Would she have like, what did she want to be when she grew up, when she was younger?
I mean, teaching stuff was really important to her. And
she always knew she wanted to be a teacher.
I think so. And language and reading, which I think is like, there's always been books around a lot. This is like a very funny memory, but I did not like reading for a very long time. I'm like a turtle reader. So when we did the Scholastic like book club, it was like, I would always come back from summer and have read like 2 books, and everyone else would get the pizza party and I would never get it. So it was like, there would be times where it's like, we'd have a certain amount of books to read that we had to read. And like, I would read the beginning and the end. I wouldn't read the middle. And so my mom would be like, so tell me about this book. And she was like, you did not read it. So she would sit and read out loud to me.
Oh my goodness.
And this was not like kindergarten. It's like a bit older than that.
It's like all of Harry Potter.
So reading definitely is something that has always been, like we would talk about like Edgar Allan Poe. And then eventually I found like the R.L. Stine, like chiller books, like those really scary ones. And for some reason, those were things where it was like, I could burn through those, and it would be on like road trips generally with, me, my mom, Mercy, my sister. And like, I would be like sitting in the back reading those books. And so that was
You're such a sci-fi girly. You can't help it.
It's true.
That does not surprise me.
What?
I was like, that doesn't surprise me that you were reading those.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think like books and education have always been something that have been really special for my mom. And that definitely got passed down to my sister and I a ton from her, where it's like, when I think about like my mom recharging, it's like her taking a nap and, reading a book and taking a nap, and her Christmas gifts this year definitely had to do with reading.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you do some of those same things now. Like when you spend quality time together, it's still like, it's the going on walks and talking about books or puzzling in Disneyland, like common themes.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I think it's like I said, things will ebb and flow and change. And it's like, sometimes when I was younger, it was like, maybe the time we spent talking was more about like me figuring stuff out. And now I feel like we're able to have conversations where it's like, my mom can be like, you're putting on your friend hat now. So then we get to talk about stuff where it's like the two of us getting to talk as friends, and it's less of a like, hey, help me with my stuff,
help.
Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Which I'm always allowed to go to her for, which is awesome too.
It's really special. What do you admire most about your mom?
I think one of the, like, she's just so kind and warm and welcoming.
Yeah, I've seen it.
I think that, one of the things that I admire, and like, it's come so naturally to her. Like, I know that there's effort that goes into it, especially just at least for me, where it's like, I feel drained and tired, but she didn't show us that. So it was like how effortless she made it look, even though I knew and know now that it does take effort to do all of those things. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things, but it's literally like, I could just sit and I'm like, we always have like amazing home cooked meals. We always have like, the house looks beautiful and pristine. Like, this is another like silly little thing, but it was like when I was little and I would go over to sleepovers, our house was always so clean that like, if I went to another person's house and I took my shoes or socks off or whatever and was walking and the floor was dirty, I would call my mom and be like, I'm sick. I need you to pick me up.
The high standard.
Because I was so used to like how our house was.
Yeah.
Like there's just like so many things about my mom where, she's really smart. She's fun and lighthearted and takes such good care of us. And she always is telling us like how much she loves us and how proud of us she is. And then getting to see her with her friends and how important those friendships are to her. And that, she is like, she's taking care of her health, where it's like, she's going out and going for walks and figuring out new things to do for herself and like wanting to explore and learn and grow. So it's like every day there's something more that I can see in my mom where I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
I love that. What's the best advice that you've ever received, or something that stuck with you that she said your whole life or still says?
I mean, I think it's the being like so supportive all the time. Like that is, it's still one of the things for me where it's like, I think when they say it to me, it doesn't matter what it's about. But like just my mom saying she's proud of me, just like every time, like I'm going to,
it's all we want.
Because she's huh?
It's all any of us want,
What?
I
mean, it's crazy how much when it is someone that you look up to so much and value their opinion so much, how much that can really affect you and know that like someone telling you. And I think that's too something where it's like seeing my mom as a teacher where, she understands how important that is. And sometimes kids don't get that from their families. Yeah. And so my mom being able to be there and being like, no, you are smart. Like, look, you learned this thing or you can do this thing. So yeah, her always being supportive and
not
encouraging.
Just you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel so lucky that I got her as a mom. Like, you know, it's because I mean, maybe in some world I did pick her, but like,
Yeah.
I think I do feel incredibly lucky because I know
Aw.
that it's not everyone that has a relationship like
Yeah,
that with their mom.
totally. Or just like one parent like that. I feel like both of your parents have been like that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
lost
I
on me,
definitely,
like having that kind of childhood that you were just encouraged to explore anything that you were interested in and supported wholeheartedly, whatever you wanted to do. But yeah, I also was like, you're going to college. That's not a non-negotiable. Sounds like that was for you
yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
okay, so
Definitely a huge priority.
yeah. Okay, some rapid fire.
Okay.
Is there a song or beauty product or piece of jewelry that always makes you think of your mom?
Um, so beauty product, anything Lancome, like
Oh,
my
anything.
mom is, as long as I've remembered her wearing makeup or using makeup, it's Lancome. Literally, I just went home for Christmas and she sent me back with like an eyeshadow because she gets stuff and she'll get so many good free gifts. So it's like, I always have like a little trial set of the Lancome mascara.
Yeah.
And like this time I came home with like the eye makeup remover and a toner and like an eyeshadow. So Lancome definitely. Her wedding ring to me always looked like a cinnamon roll. So anytime I see a cinnamon roll, it makes me think of my mom.
Cute.
It's kind of silly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
So
love
those are two things. I also think it's like this is such a funny thing, but like when my mom's on the phone with certain people, you know who she's talking to because she starts talking like them. So even now
So funny.
as an actor, like I think that I picked up a lot of that from her where it's like I don't think I'm consciously studying someone, but it's like I'll start having like tendencies or like little quirks that someone else that I've been spending a ton of time with has. So that's definitely like as an actor, something that makes me think of my mom too.
What is one word to describe her?
Magical.
So cute. When's the last time? Oh, go ahead.
It's just like I think because of like sparkle and like she loves dangly sparkly things. So I think always like that connection to Disney, and so it's just like there's just like magic. My mom just makes everything seem easy and special and wonderful.
I love that. I'm terrible at rapid fire because I'm like, tell me more about this. Okay. When was the last time you think she did something just for fun? And when's the last time you did just something just for fun?
Hmm. The last time my mom did something just for fun, she definitely like goes to Disneyland still with her friends.
Same.
And I think she maybe went last month. So yeah, Disneyland trips. Me, something fun. I feel like I try to do something.
You're a very fun person. I could see that.
I think it's like I try and do something every day, but also it's been my new thing lately is doing something new, like trying something new. So I think maybe like a week or two ago, I went to a museum by myself. I've been to the Bird Museum before, but I went and I just like explored and I went around twice because I was like, I want to walk around and like actually absorb things. And then I was like, I'm going to walk around and take some pictures, but I wanted to just like be present. So just trying to do like new stuff to me is fun. Like I realize it's something that just like fully energizes me and makes me so excited when I get to learn, like you said, learn something new, explore, be curious.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sometimes it's like, oh, I just went for a different walk today. And that is something fun to me.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and just like taking like time to just be like delighted in what's in front of you. I feel like we're all like distracted. We're all like mapping the next place or sticking to our calendar and like to be able to be like, oh my gosh, have you ever seen a flower so yellow before? Look at that, like marvel in the world.
Yep. Where it was like during the pandemic, I started taking tons of photos of plants and flowers and stuff, post them. And then it was like after I went to the other week, I went to an art walk and there was an artist who was doing the freehand drawing where you don't look at the paper, you just look at the whatever you're drawing. Yeah. And so the other day I was like, I'm going to try it. And one of them looked ridiculous and one looked kind of cool.
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, where, you know, I just try and because I think so many times people will be like, that would be really fun to try. And then we just don't do it.
No.
So
put it on the never ending list.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just try and do some of those things.
Very good advice. Why not just try it? Feed your inner creative.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, final question. If you could say anything to your matriarch, what would it be? Can we call her?
She is probably running round errands, but we can try and call her for sure. Hold on. Let's see. She's in my favorites, obviously.
Obviously.
Let's see if she picks up.
Hello.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. I just saw your text message now.
Perfect.
So we are doing Courtney's podcast right now called Matriarchy Party.
Hi.
And did you hear her? She said hi.
Vaguely. Yeah, I heard something.
So we've been talking about like who the matriarch of my life is, and it's you.
Spoiler alert.
Woohoo!
Yay.
And so one of the last questions they ask is like, if you could tell them anything, what would you tell them? So we're calling you so I can tell you how awesome you are. And so she asked like, what's a word to describe you? And I said, magical. Because Mommy makes everything look so easy. Like we were talking about moving and like growing up, not realizing how much work it took for you to like make it easy for Shayna and I to be somewhere. Cause I know it must've been really hard for you and you just make everything sparkly and fun. And I'm just really thankful and lucky that you're my mom.
Well, now I'm crying.
Oh.
Well, it's true.
Well, thank you. I mean, I am always so blessed by you and Shayna. I am so grateful to have you as my daughters and to have the relationship that we have. It just means so much to me. To be able to pick up the phone and just talk, because that's what I always wanted to have as a mother-daughter relationship, because I didn't have that, but I knew that that's what I wanted. So thank you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Well, I love you.
Thank you for raising a best friend for me. I mean, I am reaping all the benefits. You are so admirable. And I was saying, going into your home, I just felt such an overwhelming feeling of love and warmth, and just hearing more about you. You're so amazing. You're magical, and Tiffany's magical. So Shayna, but thank you.
I totally accept the magical part, because you know how important Disney is to me. So it's like, if I have a little pixie that I can spread around.
Yes.
Faith and trust and a little pixie dust, huh?
Yep. She said faith and dust and a little pixie dust. No, faith and trust and a little pixie dust.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think when you mentioned the thing about matriarch, and I thought, okay, well, I guess it would have been my grandmother, right? That would have been the matriarch in our family. But I think it's important to acknowledge how important the woman is in a home of any kind. And that if you are the mom or the grandmother or the aunt, like my Aunt Carol, that's really important to me. It's like it's so important to be there for each other and to be able to talk to each other and support each other, acknowledge what we're each going through, and then share.
Mm-hmm.
If you've already been through something, then it's like, yeah, okay, I kind of understand this, what you're telling me, because I went through this, and let me share with you what I went through. But at the same time, I feel like I can share with you guys and ask you things too, because you have a different perspective now than I have. So yeah, I think it's really important.
Well, basically, Mom, you should just be Courtney's next guest.
Yeah, like you're ready to talk.
And I said, Carol is probably like another matriarchal kind of figure, because she's like, however old she is, and she's just going out there doing all the cool stuff still, and still growing and learning every day.
Yeah.
Go, Carol.
She's got at least, I think, 92. Mm-hmm. And she's going to take Tai Chi, and she's learning Spanish for her great grandson, so she can talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does salsa dancing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Her husband passed away, I think it's been 10 or 11 years now. And it took her a while, to get, and she still has moments of, really strong grief, but she just said, I've got to do things. I have to get out there and do things. And so when people are in the dance class and they can't do the steps, and they're like my age or younger, and then Carol's 92, and they're like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I keep telling her,
Carol.
I want to be like you when I grow up. You keep pushing, and you keep trying to, be around people and learn something new and keep going. So yeah, she's another one.
Yep.
That's so amazing.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mama.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, I'll text you later. Love you.
Happy
Love
New
you
Year.
guys too.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness. I'm crying.
Not to say the exact.
She's
some of the
perfect.
exact-
Of course. I was like, There, I was like, yep. The apple didn't fall very far from that tree, is all I'm saying. Oh my gosh, that was so touching. We could sit here and talk for 17 hours. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. If you want to see all of the amazing things Tiffany's up to, you can find her on the Instagram at Tiffany_Smith. Right?
Yep.
Where can
you so
people
much.
see you next?
The next thing coming out, I think, is in January. We have Masters of the Universe, the second season, coming on Netflix. So follow me on socials, and I'll let you guys know all that stuff when it's coming out. And then who knows? We'll see what's next. I don't know.
Yay! So much more on the horizon. Once everybody's back from holiday break, they're just sending deals and big checks.
Yeah. And eventually, I shot a movie called In Flight that was right before the strike started. So hopefully we'll be able to say where that one's going to be airing, showing soon,
Very
too.
shortly. Amazing. Yeah. Yay. I know I can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Court.
ya. Love you lots. Bye.